Hello and welcome. It is the 26th day of May 2019, and this is the Money Charts channel. All bets, trades of the like within each his own risk and their own reward. My name is Derek, and a new week is beginning. As the Bitcoin price, I thought it was going to be a pause week. It really wasn't. A little bit of a correction, small gain further, continuation green movement. Volatility was satisfactory with a high of 87.93, a low of 74.67. That's a differential of 1,000, a little over $1,300, or almost 20% volatility. The week before, it had a low of 66 and a high of 83.88, which was a differential of 17.88, and that was closer to 30% on that one. And of course, big volatility there after that. And no resistance here. Okay, fast move to the 98.14. Well, if it takes continuous green candles in a sum of from the time it hits 4 periods, that's most certainly that of a fast move. I don't like the chances that it's going to continue screeching up forward from there, but if it does, it does. The market will do what it does. I'm not smarter than the market. I realize as long as people are still waiting to buy, wanting to buy at these prices and all that, but I do know that when things go straight up, it just can't continue to do so. Very, very clear break above this resistance at 8,381. It was an area from May the 13th up until of today, a 13-day, close to 2 week period of this sideways movement. This one little scare crash that was just a quick, how do you do kind of move, and things back in business. And as we look at this on each time frame, moving on to the 4 hour term, there we can see clearly how it managed to break nicely above. And now that it does that, I'm looking for 8170, 86 area, 8305, the level that was a big area of resistance and conjunction area of the top, to be a level of support and a conjunction area of lower prices and support. And that's, of course, as it stands. And even on the daily, as we look at this, if there's going to be any corrections from where it stands now, this is a failed breakout. Because if you've made the statement to go above 83.22, I mean, next move is most certainly around that Fibonacci level. So if it only goes up by a little bit, now if it goes up by a little bit and comes back, well, it's either coming back to where it came from as support, which is something bull markets do, finding support somewhere within the 18, the highs and or the lows, and then of course lifting off from there. That's what comes into play, and I guess not really here, but those things can most certainly come into play where you get the quick comeback, then it goes back higher. But this is so live. This could hit this number in 2 hours. It could hit it, not likely, in 20, 30 minutes. And the odds that it hits it on within 24 hours isn't that low. And the odds it hits it by like Thursday or Friday might be a favor greater than 50%. As I've been stating in here for quite some time, because of how it acted upon Fibonacci, I was like, yeah, I like the odds it manages to make a move up here before any significant down move. Now, when it gets to that key level, and I'm going to go back to the shorter term again, when it gets back to this key level, it's going to be, oh, and now what situation are we going to correct through time and then work our way maybe to the 12.9 area there after that? Is there going to be any price correction? If so, is it going to go down to 63.40 area? As that would be its next primary level of support if, of course, it hits that resistance. And I've seen that happen so many times, both bullishly and bearishly, where, of course, bearishly it has to, and it will go down further, but on a bullish level where it hits this level, then it comes back here, settles in, maybe comes back and just breaks it or has little resistance. But you still got to give the benefit of the doubt, because when these cryptos go, they can go pretty fast, that we're in a reasonable situation that we could see in 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 periods from now, price action to be above this high of 20,000. if there's no momentum, doesn't stop, which means you get massively large continuous green candles, sort of like in here. Price action goes from 900 up to 3,000. That's a 3x move. If we 3x from where we stand today, we would be looking at a pierce above this, 26, maybe 27,000. Noticeable pierce above that level. And then you might have situations where maybe one week is a down week of like 20+%, but then it gets it back in 1 to 2 weeks after that. And then you have a 3 week correctionary period amongst what would be like, say, I don't know, like a 12, 14 week period. But when you're talking back in here about having that many weeks to go up that exact same amount of percentage, the momentum obviously wasn't there. It broke above here, and again, it's just kept going. So until it stops, you can keep on saying that it's overbought, it's over these Bollinger Bands and all those kinds of things, and it'll continue to be so until it's not. So going back to the short term, again on the 4, it just broke above this level of resistance. That's where I'd be looking for the coming back. Now that we go hour, 15, 5, and 1, we're going to look at the move more in depth to what has happened. And it happened right here at the 1500 hour, 3 p.m. Very, very, very big hour, going from a low of about a little over 8,000 and a high of over 8,600, almost 600 basis points, 7-ish+% in just this hour, and it's continued its gain, having the grind higher. We see how this level of resistance, and we're going to see it more clearly on the 15 and the 5, how it had this little bit of a pullback, and then breaking this. Oh, was it a fast move above it? Usually it is, with 37 minutes and 33 seconds to play in this hour. And I say that like it's a hockey or a basketball game, but it is a game as far as I'm concerned in so many fronts. Trying to predict where this is going to go and all this type of stuff, that's part of the game. And yeah, so a little bit of a pause from this move. We'll again see all of this more clearly. So within this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 consecutive good green candles up, all in a row. She was saying, oh, it's overbought at 83.54. It's even overbought at 82.88. It's at resistance. Oh, it broke resistance and went fast higher. That's normally what happens. I'm not. I know I could have put the line in, but it was somewhere around here. Either way, I broke it fast. And then from the high, the early bit of selling comes in, comes back to previous high, and then down again, but it makes the higher low. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 periods, just really showing strength amongst the 18 highs. That's what we're looking for amongst these correctionary moves. And when it look at it in play, when you're coming up here on the 1600 hour and you're buying at 87.29, I mean that is way overextended. And if you're looking for market settle downs, well, here you see buying at 87.29 on this 20-hour time frame. Back in here, you can see, well, ooh, look at the setup this was giving us. That was a strong close as it was coming through. And it's had continuation gains higher ever since. On the 5-minute term time frame, market has its spectacular move and continuous support of it on multiple occasions ever since. It comes down here at 1635 after leaving it at 8,000, not until it gets to pretty much its high, that highs that it sees doesn't break for quite some time, and is still near the area of its new highs. So it has that fast move, comes to the 18 at 35 after. And a little bit of a possible breakdown here in the lows? No. And it has that quick move. Oh, okay, that's a possible failed breakdown of the lows. This was an attempt here. Of course, when you have this big gain, you really got to realize there's a good chance you're going to get a little one dip move before the slow, even on a bullish case. But it didn't really have much of one, which you could say, that's pretty interesting. Then after coming up here, 18 lows finds support, starts to lift off, and then it resists the highs, supports above the lows and probably below the closes, but in that area. And then 1, 2, 3 periods of just hanging in there amongst the 18 highs. This was an attempt to break it at the 1805 timestamp. It made it, but the first level of resistance you look for is previous high, and it hit that. Now that higher low in here, finding support in this conjunction area, coming back to the 18, and that's exactly what it did. And then you get the support lift off. You see again, you're seeing a lot of strength at the 18 highs for several periods as it grinds its way close to this high but not able to make it. Comes back again for the third time into the 18. Doesn't take much time there again. Comes up to the highs, and then when it breaks this, a nice convincing move, small leg higher, albeit it's one of them. Then it comes down to the 18 highs, grinds its way higher, not able to break above, and now for the fourth time, it is having an 18 average test. And if there's ever any type of moves that go back down below this, that's where like the 15 and the hour is going to come into play. Because on the 15, 18 average of lows, well, coming back to where you come from on a short term, 87.44, well, that's in play. And then when you point it out on the single hour term time frame, it is just well extended. But when you look at a well extended market here, there's not as much risk for probability odds in that nature. The risk of price is most certainly still really high, but there's not as much risk of you of it a more bullish factor rather. So you come up here, it's at its high, it's way up above it. It's still above the 18 average, well, so that makes it relatively scary. But when you have this level of resistance that was broken at 87, you can see it's only that of a small move. Well, there's a decent chance that it's not going to even need the 18 on this current correction. I'm not going to go back, but back to that shorter term, well, I will go back. That it very easily might only come down to 87.38. So maybe you do whatever strategy based on how you see that. But those are some of the things we're looking for in the corrections. It has a big gain. Once it has it, a big statement, now I need to see it hold big areas where it came from. It doesn't have to be the 18 lows because where was that big area right now? That's at 82.93 down to 81 and change. And again, it's not you expect a bigger move moving going forward, which is probably going to have. But if it does do this, then you got to give the benefit of the doubt. At least I give the benefit of the doubt really big at first towards the buyers, and but doing so is well below where this 18 average of lows is. And it's not uncommon when you do have a big move that its comeback move will just do that, hit the 18 and still have a big correction because of its good sized move. Situation where maybe it comes back down to like 85.73. And that's only a short term pullback, especially if it can't even come back on the 1 hour time frame. And as you look at that situation on the daily, we're seeing, oh, it's just leaving the early stages of a breakout pattern. And so I wouldn't expect, as we move on into the rest of the night and the day, for there to be that much of a price reduction. I wouldn't be surprised if, at worst, on a bearish level, the market will do what it does, that it has a sideways movement, maybe finding support above, at, or a little bit below this previous level here at 85 and low change. And then you have a sideways, and then in a boring situation, you have a sideways move, maybe for 2, 4, 6, whatever days, sort of like it had previous. And of course, that previous move, like sort of, yeah, the previous spot in here where it developed the range. Because after hitting this high, we had this low, but it wasn't much of one. So it comes down here and it plays in a range in here. It's able to hold and stay above the May 20th low with everything that happened in here. It's had some time below it, but obviously never really broke down from there, and it was a range bound market, and it only had two big low support points. It had maybe at early stages, it had a range support level at 78, but in this stage here, it had a support at 79.24. Either way, it was a situation where it could do something like this as one of the possibilities as well. But I'm not counting it, and I'm hoping that tomorrow or Tuesday it does make a test of that 10,000. And I do have sell orders available, not much. You're talking about that would be 2% of my bankroll, maybe even less than that, 1 point something percent. So it's like a trade, a bet. If the market goes back down, then I'll fill some buy orders with my um, lowest probably being for safety purposes. I'm using safety purposes as the word here at around 6,500 because I would expect if we resist here, we're going to come back here. And then it's going to be a bottom here and then on a bullish level, and then it'll just do its thing as it continues its retracement from this high to this low. That's what I'm hoping for, and I'm hoping that the retracement, as far as how what would be ideal for me, and the market does what it does. I say that all the time, especially when I talk about stuff like this. Ideally for me is that it hits this level tomorrow afternoon or Tuesday, and then it takes maybe I don't know, maybe a few days just to settle in within this area to like May 20. Let's just look at it this way. So yeah, right around here, May 28th, it's maybe starts to break down, and then maybe it takes it up to about here. So sometime maybe, and usually markets bit different. Maybe June 20, like late June, that it comes back down to this level of support where it would lift off and then start to retrace from this high to this low. And I'm hoping that it would take maybe get it done in like say hopefully it takes some time, nice up and down movements. Maybe sometime in like July 25th maybe start to get above this high. And then maybe again start to break that level, maybe sometime late July, maybe reach a 12,000 in October, and then retest the previous high of 20,000 sometime into 2020. But have you ever heard of what they call a parlay? In sports gambling terms, that means you're betting on multiple events to occur. Maybe on a baseball day, I'm going to bet on the Cubs, the Phillies, let's bet on the Twins. Who are the Orioles playing? I'm going to bet against whoever they are, and I'm going to bet for them to win by two, and then I'm going to bet this and that, and holy crap, look at the payout you get because of the multiple factor of so many things, and it's just so hard. And I'm going to finish this off by explaining to you uh, the mathematical calculation I figured out in calculating the odds of winning the lottery. I figured this out when I was probably sometime in my early high school years, maybe even grade 7 or 8. And in Canada, we have what they call the Lotto 649. But what it is, how many, if you have to get every single number right of how many you have to pick, well, the math is simple. So what's the chances of winning the lottery? Well, a ball is going to pop out between 1 and 49, and I have six different numbers. So as long as it's one of those six, I'm still alive. But once I get one wrong, I no longer can win the grand top prize. So the first thing I have to do is get the first number right. There's a 49 divided by 6 chance that that's going to occur. If I'm correct, I'm still alive to win. So the next ball has to be correct too. But I only got 5 balls remaining, but there's 48 left in the pool since one has been taken out. And then so on, 48 divided by 5, 47 divided by 4, 46 divided by 3, and then what would be 22 and a half and 44. I haven't calculated this in probably a few years, but it's around 14 million in one. And when you're trying to talk about things of difficult, I mean, once you get something wrong, then your thing is off. So when I talk about, okay, this is going to happen here, then this is going to go down here, and this up here, and then this. Okay, well, I mean, maybe I got a 60% chance of being right the first time, which is zero point 0.6. And then I got a 50% chance of being right the next time, which would be zero point 0.3 when I multiply it. Then I got even a 90% chance. Oh, this is a big favorite. Well, zero point 0.3 times zero point 0.9 would be 0.27. Then I got a 50% chance of something happening. Now I got 0.135, and that's 13.5% chance. So the more you multiply that by, even when you put a lot of favorites together, it's probably not going to work. An example of doing such is trying to see if you can predict, say in the NBA, um, something like how many in a row can you get of how many teams that are favored by like between 7 and 10 points. Can you get 20 of them in a row right? You probably won't. Alrighty, thank you for tuning in. And when I say get them right, I mean on the money line. So meaning I think this team's going to win. So you're taking teams with 80, 85% chance. That's what I'm going by. And if you do 8 point, let me just get a calculator up and it'll show you an example of what I mean. Let's just assume that I got something that's going to win like 94.4%, like 4/9 of the percent of the time. But I want to do it, say, like, uh, well, this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So the chances of me getting, if I got 94 and 4/9 chance of getting that right, and I can keep getting that, the chances of me getting like what was that, like however many that was, like 50%, but just 20 more from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So 20 more from whatever that number is more is a 16% chance. And 20 more, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I got a 5.1% chance. And thank you for tuning in. Have yourself a great day. Bye bye.